stream, so everybody knows.
Okay.
No screaming or telling secrets.
Just kidding.
How are you guys? Good. How are you guys?
We're live.
Hey, that's great.
So don't tell any secrets because we are live, so people can hear what you're saying. Okay? So you know.
Must have been 15 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you like your own?
Okay, so
We have
I
it.
will, thank you very much. Okay.
You know what the TV's on, Shay? The televisions?
They're probably going to need them on because, just because Doug and Joe will be doing their presentation. And I don't know what Ryan has to show, so we probably want to get everything turned on. Because Doug and Joe will plug in up there for their strategic plan. Jared usually does that, so I didn't think about it.
What's that?
I should have told you to get you one of those. I'm just kidding. You can't afford to not spend me. You like Steve, can't afford it. Tell him all the time. I tell him all the time, you need one more donut.
Oh, yeah. There's Margaret and Gail. You can hear them. I'll take like a little one here. Better grab it. Of your logs.
There you are.
Here we are.
I heard you. I could hear you when you were going.
Is it your phone here? We want to see all the front, huh?
Oh my goodness, a whole gang of trouble.
What is this? Are we going front or back? Or side? I guess we're going front.
Ready?
Hey, Grandpa. How are you?
Yeah, how are you?
Oh, let's, you need to sit back down and, you better sit here.
You guys can sit up, all three of you guys can sit up here if you want.
You better go sit down.
Just down the front.
The cheerleaders are up there.
Where's Les?
She was on her way.
Oh, is Les gonna be coming?
Oh, she's always late. She'll want to sit on the back row. Let's see, did he give you an agenda?
Yes. Take that one.
So we have to listen to this garbage. Litigation, who's suing us?
What's that?
No answers left.
Litigation update.
You gotta be careful of your lives, so everything you say, you know,
They
they
say
hear it.
that we're live right now.
Oh,
The recording is.
What's the paper, sister?
it's the agenda.
We had some family.
You never have?
Right there. No. This is just the whole they haven't.
Number 4. There, he was a superintendent.
This is what we perception has 5 years. And it cranks out what's in closer and closer. And it says that our district. We just one thing. You know.
That's just his today, so that's good.
For instance,
What? It was easy. I could have been so much less. Still, I wouldn't have actually did my project. I didn't really do anything. I didn't do anything. So, I did my project. So, nonsense you do.
So, for instance, say,
That's Kate down
From the children. Yeah, and so that would be like, so say, so here's the so now you go and you say this. This is showing everything. So under this So this is where she it won't be so bad. So I well, when you can, and they have some other no, you're good. She showed it. And so, the hardest thing is saying how the teacher should be running.
Well, that's always been the hard part. It's like,
And so, this is what the my Brad's library
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stop.
Yeah, but they all know that. But it's kind of, most of the same.
Okay, I'm just going through these dates.
It's all of this. So we're trying to be very small. That's awesome.
Number 6. Social studies.
But he's getting used to that. He just turns around.
You just chose what one. One that had holes in it, were pretty solid. I try to stay out of trouble in this class.
Yes. Well, headwind is.
No, but it's really hard to get I love because I'm like, I figured it out. We'll see if they can get everyone figured
November 17th.
My daughter talks to me
Make yourself feel my evaluation.
Your grad.
I'm glad. What
I saw all the days. He just gets bad.
It's right around here in Florida.
So when it's like last night, why are you so
They're allowed to be late to ceremony.
Sometimes they're too much early, sometimes they're too late.
You got a buzzer you can push.
So what they do? So we're gonna take those 2 days. Work hard as
Hi. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hi, how are you?
I don't smell. I promptly showered earlier.
Caleb, just fantastic. I've been out all over.
Hi, how are you?
All righty, I want to apologize, we were a little bit long in the executive session. It is now 6:06. I need to call to order the Union County School District Number 1 Board of Trustees School Board meeting. I need a motion to go into this meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. We're in executive session. Everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Regular session.
Regular session. Regular session, sorry. Age thing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve tonight's agenda as set.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, the agenda has approved. All right, I need an approval to approve the consent agenda items. Items A, minutes, B, payment of bills, C, approved SPED related services, contracts, D, approved SPED excess of equipment.
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, go
I need
ahead.
to recuse myself from check number 124580.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All righty, Mr. Thomas, we can move on to our presentations.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Rickbell. Do you want to come up and introduce your people? Come on down. Paul Rickbell.
Good evening. I'm not sure how this works, so I just kind of
You're doing okay.
fly by the seat of my pants. So I'm happy to see some of the boys here from indoor track and one of the girls that participated in indoor track this season. And I was asked to introduce one young man who made some pretty good accolades in indoor track and has done a lot of other stuff. And like I said, I wasn't sure what I'm supposed to do, so I wrote a novel. Bring him up?
Yeah.
Come on up here, Gabe. So I'll tell you a little bit about Gabe. This is Gabe Hutchinson. He's a senior at Evanston High School, and he's been a track athlete all 4 years, letter winner all 4 years up there. And I'll just read this to you, some stuff that I thought of when it came to Gabe and just kind of where he's come from and where he's at right now. Gabe was a pretty good athlete in middle school. I had him in class. I didn't have him in any sports in middle school, but what I noticed about him at that time was that he enjoyed competing. He struggled a little bit academically, but it was easily recognizable that he had the potential to succeed academically with the same type of effort and attitude he would put into competition. I also noticed that Gabe had a heart for others, and that it didn't matter what others thought of him. Gabe would go out of his way to help others, to make sure they felt included and accepted. And quite often I observed Gabe on multiple occasions ditching his buddies at lunch in middle school to go sit with someone who might otherwise be by themselves. And I think that says a lot about his character. We fast forward to high school. I don't have Gabe in class anymore, so I don't know how he does in classes, but as a freshman coming out for indoor track, Gabe showed his potential immediately in practice, to the point where the older kids grabbed a hold of him and said, "You're coming up here with us to the front of the line, and you better keep up." And because they noticed he was pretty quick. He has some wheels. And so right off the start, Gabe realized that it's going to be hard work, and the big boys aren't going to let him off easy. So Gabe rose to the occasion right away. And since that time, in the 4 years that I've had the privilege to be one of Gabe's coaches, I've observed him become a committed student. He's been committed to his academics. I know that he's carrying a GPA that is, I think it's at least a 3.3, somewhere around there, which is fantastic. I've watched him grow as a team leader. He's developed a character that includes a hard work ethic. He conducts himself with humility in everything that he does. And I would say right now that he's probably a little embarrassed to be standing up here next to me, listening to me brag on him. And he'd probably be the first to tell you that some of these kids that are here with him are the reason why he's had a lot of the success that he has had. I've also seen him show his gratitude as a human being to everybody that he encounters, everybody that he's around. He gives of his time to work with younger kids. He's been to middle school practices, teaching those kids a lot of our techniques that we want our kids to know. And he's a positive role model to all. He shows incredible sportsmanship in all situations and circumstances. This kid, at the end of every single race, immediately turns around and goes and shakes the hand of every other kid that was in his heat. And I think that's something that I've always recognized with him. He's always been, it's like he's grateful to have the opportunity to go and run a race, and he might get his butt kicked in a race, and he's still right there shaking everybody's hand. And I think that shows a lot about his character. Gabe would be the first to tell you, and I kind of said this a minute ago, that his accomplishments would not be possible without the help and support of all of his teammates along the way, and the friendly trash talk and competition he has always had that has helped push him to do really well. And so he's grown up with a group of kids that they would talk smack to each other every day in practice, how they were going to kick each other's butts. They would do it at meets, and it's been a lot of fun to watch all of them succeed. Gabe has earned nicknames along the way. One of those names, Turbo, Hot Rod, and Lightning McQueen. And if you've seen the movie Lightning McQueen, and is it Sarge, or whoever trains him says, you got to turn right to turn left. And if you've seen a track meet on these little 200-meter tracks, Gabe is so fast. I watched him at Weber State this year. They wouldn't let him wear spikes, and he was like literally trying to stay on the track. I thought he was just going to spin out around the curve, and he looked like Lightning McQueen coming around the corner there. So it's been fun to watch him and give him some of those nicknames too along the way. Some of his accomplishments, just so you all know, Gabe holds Evanston High School outdoor track records in the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, the 400-meter dash, and the 4x400-meter relay. He was on the 2023 state champion 4x4 meter relay team in indoor track, earning all state honors with his team for that last year. And then he was the runner-up in the 2023 outdoor state meet in the 100, the 200, the 400, and the 4x4 relay, earning all state honors in the 1, the 2, and the 4. Because if you're in the top 2 in those individual events, you're all state. And so I joked with Gabe last year at the state meet that they were going to name a street after him, and they were going to call it 2nd Street, because he just finished second in every event. But I also have told him along the way quite often that he's going to get that state championship. And so in indoor track, this year, Gabe broke the school records this year in the 55-meter dash, the 60-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, the 400-meter dash, and the 4x400-meter relay with his team on that. Gabe was also part of the 4x200-meter relay school record team from 2023, and he holds the number 2 spot as well with a different team in that same event. He is also part of the relay team that is number 2 on the all-time top 10 list for the 4x4, so he's on there in 2 different spots. Gabe also holds the number 7 spot in the all-time top 10 list in indoor track in the long jump, which, I don't know, he might have tried that once and finished in the top 10 there. So at the 2024 state indoor meet this year, Gabe posted a 3rd place finish in the 200-meter dash, 3rd place in the 400-meter dash. He was runner-up with his 4x400-meter relay team, and then he earned all state honors and is the 2024 state champion in the 55-meter dash.
What was his time?
Oh my gosh, 6.67?
7?
Yeah, 6.67. So, fantastic. And the last thing that I put here that I'd like to share, I think it's worth noting that Gabe he's up against some incredible competition in our state. The fact that he holds the school record at Evanston High School in every one of his main track events that he has participated in both indoor and outdoor track, and has only been a state champion in one of those individual events, shows how difficult this task is, and how talented his competition is, and how great this accomplishment in the 55-meter dash really is for Gabe. So congratulations, Gabe.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can stand up.
Track athletes,
Oh,
stand up.
track athletes.
Thank you.
These guys are, like I said, Gabe would tell you, these guys are a big part of his success. And just that whole team thing is pretty cool. And just in case you didn't know, both our girls and boys indoor track teams finished 3rd overall at state this year. So lots of points from a lot of these folks here, and it's been a lot of fun. And I know Gabe's family, he's got a lot of family here too that are always there to support him in tons of ways and to support all these other athletes as well. And I will recognize Emily Bennett, one of our track coaches who was there for indoor track, and she's one of our outdoor track coaches. She's also here to recognize Gabe as well. So thank you.
So he don't go get away without talking.
I told him I wanted he's gonna have to have a
He's up here,
speech.
he's all embarrassed, he's walking back behind you, kind of hiding a little bit, but you're going to have to answer a couple of questions.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So what are your plans afterwards? Anybody call you at all, or what's your future
Yeah, I might
plans?
go to college. I'm thinking, kind of talking to Weber State right now,
Okay,
but I'm going to go on a mission first, and then
Okay.
I'm going to try to go to college for a track. So-
Weber State's been fantastic to this little community. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
Weber State, shout out to Weber State for what they've done for Evanston and our track kids through the years, so, yeah. Good school.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Anything else for him? Really? Just one question?
So,
How'd your senior project go?
What are you, 17?
I'm 18.
18 now, okay.
No, I've heard stories of you from whenever you were a kid, so I mean, little freshman, so it's fun to see you, what you've accomplished coming through school, so congratulations.
Thank you.
So you're the gingerbread man.
I guess you could say that, yeah.
Okay.
Only those that know the rhyme would understand.
Okay. All righty.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well done.
That's great.
All righty, now, I cut it down, I'm down to like 10 pages. So if you want my abbreviated presentation that you guys are going to present to us today.
Is it 10 pages of questions?
No, that's not, so.
Would you like to give it for us?
No, no.
While you do that.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Wow. Okay.
I was going to razz you about people leaving, but I don't dare.
It's okay. It's all right. I probably wouldn't hang around either if I wasn't presented.
All right, Mr. Thomas, looks like we're moving on to department budget reports.
Just introduce again, as part of our budgeting process, you get a chance to hear from all the departments, and today it's curriculum. Originally, it's technology and maintenance, but Mr. Dennis is away on district business, so I'll turn the time over to
Dr. Ingalls.
Dr. Ingalls and Mr. Rigby.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, it's our privilege to be here with you today. Told Assistant Superintendent Rigby that if I got too wordy, he could just let me know on the side, or Mrs. Fessler could send me a text partway through, right, Mrs. Fessler?
She's got her finger on the button.
I learned my lesson.
Yeah, well, please do. Put a smiley face on it, would you? As we go through, and this one is not so bad. Go through, this is our opportunity to really brag about our staff, really talk about the things that they do, our principals and the leadership that they provide. Sometimes we just kind of provide opportunity and they lead it. And we're grateful for the leadership and the instructional leaders that we have in our district. It's my privilege to work with Mr. Rigby as well as Mr. Thomas on a regular basis. Sherry, we're going to recognize you just right away because sometimes we forget all the things that you do for us, and we're appreciative of you as well and what you do to support curriculum as well as our HR department. So thank you very much. As you can see here, the first part of what we'll talk about, Amy May is brand new into her position, and she is amazing. And Amy puts in a lot of additional time. She came to the position with a lot of skills, but she had a lot of learning to do. When you think about, as we go through the presentation, so many of the things that she has to do involve grants, federal program grants, tracking all of that information, doing a lot of the curriculum work, putting those things together on that. It's nice to recognize her as well. As you look at our high reliability school certification continues. We're certified level 1, level 2. The high school at this point in time and the middle schools are on track for level 3 certification in the guaranteed viable curriculum side of it. And then the elementaries this spring will turn in their evidence and hopefully receive that level 4 certification. We didn't realize what a big deal that was until we're at the HRS conference this year, and we had little ribbons that they give you, level 1, level 2, and level 3 certification, and the number of people who came up to us who understood, the school personnel who understood what it took to get there, said, hey, can you tell us how you did that? We'd love to spend some time with you. Again, you have about 2 minutes in passing to tell them that. Others I've been in contact with through email and other things, just trying to support them in that particular piece. But our schools have done an incredible job in getting to that place. Good. Nope, good. You want to do this?
Oh, sure. All right, so our focus teacher evaluation model is our how we evaluate our teachers. We did change it a little bit for this school year. We actually reduced the number of required elements that teachers are evaluated on. Obviously, if you want to do better, right, you focus on fewer things. And so that was an effort that we wanted to make this year. So overall, there's 23 elements in the model itself. We reduced that down. There are now 7 required elements and 2 choice elements. 1 choice element in standards-based instruction and 1 in conditions for learning. So I think it's a better model for us and for our teachers. Professional development, how do we support our teachers? The collaboration time that's built into the schedule. I think our teachers every year find better ways to use that time and are using that to develop instruction, develop their curriculum, assessments, just doing some fantastic work. And then obviously our late start PDs on Mondays are completely, they're fantastic. Our teachers use them, our schools use them for a variety of different reasons, but they are absolutely essential to the operations in our schools.
As you look down through supporting teachers from hiring to continuing contract, we've talked about this in the past. One of the things that we really brag about when we go to all of our recruiting opportunities at BYU, the University of Wyoming, Montana State University, all the places that we go every year and try to recruit our teachers, this is the one thing that we really lift up, and because it's very unique. And one of the challenges that I give every one of the candidates that we interview there is I want you to ask every district in this room what they do for new teachers. And then you come back and tell me what you found out. And the ones who do come back said, wow, yeah, nobody seems to be doing what you described that your district is doing. It's incredible what we do. Becky Symes is a master teacher. She works with the building principals and that leadership, kind of that support that they provide to one another. And then for the last couple of years, we've been able to have mentor teachers, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit when we get into our YTOP, not YTOP, but our YBuilt grant, and we'll talk about some of the things we've been able to do with that. Again, the focus is on the 23 elements, as Doug talked about, as well as developing a positive learning cohort for the first, second, and third year. Across the country, anywhere from 40 to 50% of the teachers within their first 3 years leave the profession for good, never to come back. One of the biggest reasons that they leave is this right here, not feeling supported, not feeling like they're receiving the training that they need as they get ready to move forward. Our teachers, I would venture to guess, we didn't put the exact percentage, but we're between about 85 and 95% of our teachers who into that 4th year are still with us and continuing to move forward. Some of them leave for different reasons. They get married or other things and leave our community for those reasons. But in our exit interviews with them, we know that they're not leaving because they weren't supported as they were moving forward. K-5 curriculum, as you look through that, the teachers annually review and revise curriculum. We invite all teachers to come. We want at least a representative from each grade level in each school to be there. This year, we're doing that the 7th, the 9th and 10th of June. You're welcome to come and see what that looks like. Really, it's really looking at our proficiency skills, our unit plans, getting an idea of the overarching curriculum as we begin to move forward. And then the teachers take those, they do their 15-day unit plans, they build those things within the schools themselves, but it all starts with the work that we do every year in regard to reading and math and writing is part of that as well. Specials, music, PE, media, and computer science and social studies, we meet with those folks. They meet as a PLC team, not only with their school-based specials teams, but then they meet with the individual For example, the media and computer science folks meet together and they spend that time at least once, sometimes twice a month to do that work, and they do that during the Delayed Start Monday. Met with science as well as computer science. Come and spend a little time and see what they're doing in those science classrooms. It's pretty impressive what they do, as well as computer science, just to see the work that they're putting forth. The things that our second grade kids are doing with such things as HTML, learning block coding, that kind of thing is really impressive. I learned something that, as I met with them this year, that I didn't realize what our kids are doing, and so it's pretty impressive.
So the only thing that I would add, at the 6-12 area, is one of the things that we're focusing on is making sure that our curriculum, our unit plans, our proficiency scales are all posted on the website, right? So you have K-5, and it's not a slight to Dr. Ingalls at all. They have reading and math, right? And then social studies and some stuff. We have 187 courses that we offer grades 6 through 12. So getting all of those up and on the website in an effort for transparency in what we're teaching, right? So making sure that for our stakeholders, for our parents, they can go on the website, they can look and they can see if my kid's taking biology, what is my kid going to learn in biology? And we can show that unit by unit, as well as the proficiency scale that outlines exactly what every kid's going to know and be able to do as a result of their time in that classroom for that unit of instruction.
So every course is that way?
Every course. Well, they're not yet. That's what we're working on, Mr. Bennett.
Okay.
Yep. I'd say we're probably, middle school wise, I think we're probably 85%.
So it's the lower grades that we're falling ahead?
At the high school level, 9-12, I'd say we're probably 60%, somewhere in there. Our goal is to get to 90% by the end of this year, right? And our teachers know that. We've met with each of the content teams. That's our goal. Let's get that stuff there so we can, that's transparent, right? We know exactly what we're supposed to know and be able to do.
Summer Academy is something that we offer every year, and we offer it at 3 levels. We have a K-5, we have the 6-8, and then we have the 9-12. As you can see here, it's designed to meet the needs of our most at-risk students. There were over 410 students that were served in the 20 days of instruction, and K-5 specifically, we look at interventions that meet those needs. 5th grade will this year be served at the middle school. So in the past, those students with IEPs were in what was called the Bridge program, and they went to the middle school. This year we've shifted that so that all 5th grade students will now look at a transition piece. Again, we're providing that for some of our most fragile kids, so they'll be at the middle school receiving that instruction at the middle school this year. We're excited about that change, and some of our 5th grade teachers expressed, wow, this is a really good thing. We think that's going to be a really good thing for our 5th grade students moving forward. 6 through 8 address skill gaps in the core academic content areas, and then 9-12 is really credit recovery as they move forward through that process. So we're proud of the work that we have done in Summer Academy and continue to do there. So. K-5, again, we talked about the 15-day challenge that aligned with the district unit plans. That's done at the individual grade level. PLC teams, and it's work that's ongoing and continually happening. Some of it's done during the time that is spent with our late start Mondays. Other times they also meet during the week. So, this PLC, they're required to meet at least once a week, and I would venture to guess there isn't a PLC that meets fewer than 2 or 3 times a week, because they see the benefit in the work doing that collaboratively, as well as the district benchmark math and ELA. This is something that we put together. We give it twice a year. We're giving it 3 times a year. We now do it twice a year, and that came from feedback from the teachers. This isn't a secret test. It isn't something that we keep hidden away under lock and key, and then we roll out and say, okay, here you go. We don't care what you've taught. We just want to see how the kids did. This is something that the teachers developed, and we look and we revamp this every year. And then all students across the district take that assessment, grades 1 through 5. And again, it's reviewed and analyzed, and really it's a check on our guaranteed and viable curriculum, as well as a check on some of our common formative assessments that the grade level teams look at, and this particular assessment to see how they're doing with that.
Okay, so for us, again, it's just aligning, making sure that our assessments are aligned with our external assessments, and making sure that we're preparing our kids to do the best that they can possibly do. Part of that
is looking at, we've introduced STAR reading and STAR math in our 6th through 11th grade. Ms. Sanchez, I'm sure, has experienced those, right, through English class or math. The idea with that is those are our benchmark assessments, and they are aligned with whether it's YTOP or the ACT. And so it gives us an idea at 3 different points throughout the year, how are we doing, right? So we talk about KPIs in private industry. What are the measures that we're using to see if we're on track to meet our goals? Same thing with these assessments, right? The STAR data is just our KPI. It tells us where we are in relation to where we want to be at any given point throughout the school year, okay? And then our teachers use that data to support students. If we're struggling in this area, we'll group students. We'll use Red Devil Pride time or whatever the time is at each of the respective middle schools. They use that time to intervene based on that data. So that's been a huge focus for us. And I'll be honest with you, we're still figuring it out, right? We're still figuring out the reports. Some of that stuff gets a little bit nutty in terms of the reports and what they're trying to, being able to truly understand what the data is telling us. But we're getting better at it, quite a little bit better at it. So that's been a focus for us at the 6th grade area.
Question on that.
Yes.
With ACT, I know last year we were at an 8-year high, if you remember correctly, with the ACT overall score. We seeing that? I know we did one test already this year. We seeing that kind of that same trend?
So it's hard to tell because the early test is just kind of a
kickstart.
Yeah, it's because what we know with the ACT is the second time you take it, your score typically goes up. So you get a feel for the timing of it and what it's going to look like. ACT, I would love to be able to say, yep, we're going to beat that score from last year. Part of that has to do with cohorts. Some cohorts are going to score higher, some score a little bit lower. I think we're in a good place, I will say that. I just can't tell you definitively, are our scores going to be higher than they were last year? Or are they going to be about the same?
When do they test again in the spring? Did they already done it?
They already did.
Yeah. When
I
was
did,
it?
Last week or 2
Yeah, it's just been a couple of weeks ago.
So
And that's the tough part with ACT is that they keep pushing that earlier. Right, so if it's in the end of March, you think about the instructional time frame in their junior year. We start school end of August, really first part of September. That's a pretty tight window, right, to be able to get through the 11th grade curriculum to be able to take that test. Now, granted, every school in the state's under the same time constraint. So when we compare against other schools, we're all in the same boat.
I did hear that some colleges were going to do away with the AT. Is that correct?
No. Well, some did. Some did, right? After COVID, some colleges did go away from the ACT, SAT as college entrance exams under the idea of equity. What they found is that that's actually done just the opposite.
Okay.
And so most of the major schools that went away from using college entrance exams are going back to them. Yep.
So what determines that later date? Can't you move that date back in?
Not anymore.
Who determines that? ACT does.
ACT and the state work on that together because
So the
it's a
districts have no
state
input.
test. Yeah, we don't get a choice. It's a state administration day.
Yeah.
Great question.
Politics.
Yes. Okay, as we look at more of our accomplishments, as we reported last year, we received a Y-Built grant that was written and received 4 years ago. We are in the 4th year of that grant. It's right at a $3.5 million grant. It has to, the percentages will break down. You have to spend 15% of the grant on pre-K and building up pre-K and doing that work. Mrs. Fessler does a really nice job with the pre-K side of that grant and the leadership that's provided there, as well as Becky and I help and support in that as we move forward through that. 40% of the grant has to be spent at elementary to support elementary and 40% at the high school. And so they're pretty tight on those requirements. And as we've as we've gone through that process of fourth year, we're in good shape to hopefully, if the state receives their funding from the feds, that we then will have the opportunity as well to receive another round of that grant. And we'll know that within the next 6 months and take direction from the state. But as we look at some of the things we've been able to do, we've looked at literacy instruction, at interventions, intensive training, the letters program, which really looks at the foundation of reading. We have about 85% of our teachers across the elementary who are trained in letters, and the high school, I think, almost all of the ELA at the middle school and high school have been trained, and some content area teachers have decided, hey, we'd like to know more about that foundation of reading as we try to support our kids. So it's been a really good process. We've also provided that same training for our pre-K providers, and a number of them, I think the last number that I knew of, 23 of our pre-K providers in our community have actually taken and been certified in this letters training. Start reading assessment is something that we've brought on at our 612, which has helped with interventions. We've also looked at specifically training as well as implementation of a few programs, and you can see them written up there, Rewards You Fly and Hagerty. Paraprofessional training and support for K through 12. So we're providing them the opportunity to receive that same level of training, and it's been a really good process. And then our mentoring program for all of our new teachers in literacy, grades 1 or year 1 through 3 as they begin their career with us. So you want to add secondary? Federal programs, as you know, that's under the Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015. That was the last time that they revamped that. Prior to that, it was known as No Child Left Behind. Some of you may remember those days. It's all in the wording, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And thank goodness we've gone to Every Student Succeeds Act, a little more positive wording than No Child Left Behind. Right. The purpose of the law is to provide all children with significant opportunities, the fair, equitable, and high-quality education, especially those that are in highest need. Poverty is one of the greatest factors as far as achievement, and we know that this really supports us. Title I Part A, we look at a little over $1 million right around that area that we get annually, and that's really looking at improving academic achievement of our low-income and at-risk students.
All right, so Title IIA is the funding that we receive from the feds to support our teachers and their professional development. And we get, so that's $462,000. We've typically rolled over anywhere from $50,000, sometimes even $100,000. I can tell you this year, our budget, I asked Amy just a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, all right, how are we looking? And I think we've spent all but about $25,000 of that, right? So that's all gone to our teachers and their professional development, whether that's stuff that we bring in, which is probably somewhere around $150,000 to $170,000. The rest of that is our teachers selecting where they want to go and receive some professional development, learning of their choice, whether that's PLC institutes, whatever it may be. Our teachers, that's teacher choice. And we really encourage teacher teams to go. It's no different than if the board were all to go, right? Or just one person, okay? Krista goes to a conference, she comes back, is like, I just saw the coolest thing. And then she has to try to get the rest of the board on. Be like, yeah, let's do that. Isn't that cool? Well, you guys are all looking like, well, that was cool. You went to Florida. Nice, right? But it's really hard to get everybody on board. So we really encourage teacher teams to go and do that professional development. I am so excited that they are choosing to do that. And we have a lot of people going. They're using that money, which is fantastic. The second one is Perkins. Right, Mr. Bennett, you're familiar with Perkins?
Sure are.
It is, I love Perkins, but it's a killer. Just the amount of paperwork that they require is insane. And this is the year, this is a 2-year biennium grant where we have to do all kinds of crazy, I'm going to say stuff because we're in a public meeting. And so what we use those funds for is to be able to purchase new equipment for our CTE people, whether that's stuff in the auto shop. Casey's done a fantastic job of using not only some of the allocation, but the cutting edge grant. We've probably put $100,000 into our auto shop in terms of metalwork, fabrication, being able to do all kinds of crazy stuff with metal
TIG welding, just really cool stuff. Welding's used a lot of that money. We've used some of that money in our culinary program. Basically, we get together, we're getting together tomorrow night is our spring Perkins meeting. We'll talk about who needs money and how do we prioritize that. That's the process that we go through. Everybody has their wish list. It's kind of like Christmas, right? Somebody that are old enough to remember the Ward's catalog you're going through and circling stuff. Similar process. Everybody has their wish list, and then we figure out that we can't possibly afford all of it, so then we have to start prioritizing and whittling that down, and the teachers do that.
Yes.
The teachers make those determinations. So we're doing some crazy cool stuff. I use the drone example. What Mr. Wilson is doing with drones and the stuff that he's doing with computer science. Our kids walk out of his programs with cybersecurity certifications, all kinds of really cool stuff. So super proud of what we're doing in our CTE programs. Okay, so this is Title IIA and Title VI-B. Those are just a representation of different conferences that our people have gone to. But what's important to me that you see up there is we spend nearly $750,000 supporting our teachers in professional development. And most of that's their choice. We have teachers going to an autism conference. I'm paying for some of them through Title IIA. Matt's paying for some of them through Title VI-B. Perfect example of how we combine our funds to support our teachers. You don't see that across other districts. I'm telling you right now, other districts use those funds for different things. We put that money into our teachers, and I am extremely proud of how we do that for our staff. Title III, it varies. Again, that's ELL, and we have a great ELL, I call it a department across the district. David Day does a really nice job of kind of spearheading some of that and bringing that team together. And we go from 30,000 to 17 to 15. So it's really hard to use that money to plan any long-term kinds of things. So what we've tried to do with it is really bring in those things that we feel as far as programs, training for our ELL staff, as well as training for other teachers. That's another area that we've strived to really make some significant impacts. That's the end of our federal program part of the presentation. Our next has to do with HR and our HR department. We have an incredible HR department, and not just Doug and I, that's one of the other hats that we wear in the district. And Christine Hayduck, we just couldn't do our job without Christine Hayduck. She knows, she treats people with dignity and respect. Every time somebody calls on the phone, she's got the answer, or she finds the answer, and she's right back with them. Just her efficiency and the things that she does really is impressive, and she deserves all the accolades that we could possibly give her at this time. As you look at our employees, certified full-time equivalent, we have 264 certified, and support staff, we have 245 FTE, full-time equivalent, for a total of 509. That number's actually down 13, and the interesting part of that is most of those are certified teachers from last year to this year. So that's the difference in those numbers. Currently, when you look at an average staff, if you want to look at the health of an organization, take a look at longevity, and they'll tell you that across industries. When you look at our certified staff, 11.7 years, that's pretty impressive. As you look from some of our newest teachers last year, what did we have, 30 new teachers? So offset that with those teachers who've been here for a long time. Support staff, 8.3 years. You know, we hear things about people going to work in other places in our community, but we keep our support staff, obviously. And then our admin staff, we're proud to say 17.7 years. That is unheard of.
Yes.
When you look at your average principal, they will be anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 years. I'm not sure what that half year looks like. See you later, maybe, I don't know. But when you look at the superintendency as well, with the longevity that we have with our current superintendent, those numbers are even less. You're looking at about 2.25, maybe 2.5 years for most superintendents across the country. We're fortunate to have the leadership that we have.
So
That's years in the
your
district.
certified staff would have been higher Because we turned over a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, a lot of-
But at one time, that was probably a lot higher than that number there.
I would say I could look at last year. Last year, we were at about 12.75, so again, but we had a lot of new teachers who came to us. But again, that's still not a poor number when you look at most industries and how long they're keeping their staff.
So the 17.7, that's years in the district, not years in an admin position.
Yes, you could break that down.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, the McGrath training system, this is our Title IX, another part of what we do for our staff, as well as one of the services that we provide for students and families. Really, we're looking at, and we'll go and be trained again with the discrimination, bullying, and intimidation. Take that very seriously, as well as making sure that investigations are properly carried forth when they're needed to be, and take care of those situations in a very efficient and what I'd consider an effective manner. Another one is TrueSpeak, and you can see there, offered by the same company, and McGrath Training Systems is Mary Jo McGrath has been a lawyer in California around education for 50 years and has put together just some incredible things that she has learned over those years and provides those training for us. So all of our directors and principals are currently being trained in TrueSpeak as well. And really that's a framework for excellent communication skills and productive reasoning. And it's a part of what we try to do for our principals and directors. Do you want to do the baton?
Well, it's kind of here.
Well, the next one is the Battelle for Kids, where that started a couple of years ago, and you've been hearing about that, and you're going to hear a little bit more later, I'm sure, in the meeting. Is we started with job descriptions, and we looked at those job descriptions. From the job descriptions, after those were updated, and we got feedback from every position in the district, and then the job descriptions were put together from not only what you might think that a bus driver does, but what our bus drivers say that they do. And that then was the impetus for putting those together. We then looked at what's called compensatory factors to rate each of those positions, and from that, then you actually put those on the salary schedule. We'll talk a bit more about that here in just a few minutes. I think Ryan has a presentation around that. We analyzed overall the compensation package. We looked at a market analysis. John Williams has done an incredible job of really analyzing the market across our state, and he looked at the 602 data from all the districts, and then we looked at each individual employee and looked at how do they rate in relationship to what the overall rating is as far as that market analysis is concerned. Not going into a lot of additional detail. Be happy to spend some time talking about that further with you. Then we looked at the compensation process, and it's led to the creation of a new support staff salary schedule that will be rolled out and in place in the 24-25 school year.
All right. So again, we talked about this at the very beginning, that whole idea of HRS certification. That's our goal. That's the board goal around certification. You can ask our principals. It's really not, the certification's cool. That's a stakeholder thing. The process itself is what's most important. Are we doing those things that great schools do? And so we're very proud of the work that's taking place at schools. This is done with staff, and it doesn't work if it's not, quite honestly, right? The whole idea of high reliability schools is that they're choosing what they're working on. They're determining what they're going to do to fix whatever they think they need to work on, and then they're collecting the data that says, is this working or not? And so, super proud of the work that we've been doing with high reliability schools. Again, the elementaries, HRS level 4, secondary, HRS level 3. Middle schools could probably go for HRS level 4 if they choose to do that moving forward because of their standards-based reporting that they started this year. But that'll be entirely up to them.
As well, we talked about some of this earlier, just a synopsis. The Math and ELA Essential Standards Assessment continues to roll forward, and we'll review and revise that in June, update the curriculum on the websites annually, and try to keep those updated. As Mr. Rigby said, that's That's obviously a little more inclusive when you look at every course as you're looking at 612. Then 612 focus on elective areas. You want to show?
No, I think we're good. We talked about that a little bit earlier.
Okay. And then human capital. Christine's done a great job with Frontline. It's a digital piece that helps us gather information and keep information in regard to HR, continued utilization of that, align our job descriptions with specific evaluations. That's the next step in the process. So we'll take those individual job descriptions and then we'll have more of a personalized evaluation around that job description. The support staff salary schedule we talked about, continued emphasis on professional development, and then a work-based learning, connecting our students with local employers. Thanks for your time today.
You were fast. Good work.
We realized that.
Did good.
Did we do okay?
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It was interesting.
No, it is. So, good.
Questions? What we got?
Keep up the good work.
And I know they're using that data from that first ACT. I know they're using small groups. I know Mr. Kohler is teaching one of those classes during pride time. Is that when they do that? Is during pride time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I know they're using that data. It's just hard for me to predict how they're going to do it.
And thank you. Thanks for the support that you
Thank you.
provide. We really do appreciate it.
No, appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic job.
You think we're going to see
All righty. I guess we will move on to discussion items. Mr. Thomas?
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, you are lucky enough to be required to participate in some training. This year, the legislature approved Wyoming Statute 91510, which required all elected public officers to receive training on budgeting process. I know you've received correspondence from Wyoming school boards. You probably received notification from us. There are plenty of opportunities for you to receive that training. I guess I just need to know, you want to do that on your own? You want to set a night? I would recommend a evening, not a Saturday, but the interesting thing is CFO Williams also has to participate with you as part of the law, or he has to at least participate in the training, maybe not with you. So what would you like to do? Just sign up on your own? You'd like us to select a date and you can come that time if you want, you don't have to.
Is it like online, like a Zoom?
4 hour.
Yeah, 3.5 hour training.
So they
Trust me.
I'd rather do it on my own, because I'd rather do a Saturday morning, I think, than the evening thing, so.
Are we still bound that we can only have 4 board members meet?
If we probably did where more than 4 came, we just do it as a work session. So not a big deal.
Okay, all right.
I'm just telling, Saturday mornings aren't good for me. Anytime in the morning is not good.
You guys can do whatever, but I'm gonna just happily do it one morning when I don't
And
have kids and
that's fine,
everything
you
to
don't
worry
have to do
about.
it together, just if you want to, we can set a date. Or you can set a date, however you want to do it.
Okay.
And then they send us the information to watch it?
Yeah, you just register
You just
on
register
that
online.
date, and then I'm sure they'll send you a link to a Zoom.
And nothing will go wrong?
You are an optimist.
Okay.
You're welcome to do it next Wednesday with me.
Okay, so you did get an email from Sherry too, that gives you all that registry information. So it's up to you guys. If you want to set a date, I'd be glad to remind you.
This is 3.5 hours sitting here.
Yeah, it's 3.5 hours.
Or you can be at home.
Or you can be at home doing it for 3.5 hours. Can you just log on and then just turn your camera off and leave?
No.
I have a feeling you
Can't do that.
poke some buttons along
Okay, I'm
the
just
way.
saying, not that I would do anything like that.
See, if I do it at home, I can do it in my jammies, so it's not scary.
So Ryan, I have a question.
Yeah.
What if you did not do this?
Yeah.
I have a feeling they would probably get a little nasty and talk about our accreditation status. I don't know. I don't know what penalty they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's an attempt to make sure there's a well.
6 months in jail. I could use the rest, you know?
Come watch us.
Yeah, I mean, you're elected official.
Yeah, for
I have a feeling they're gonna keep pounding you until
Until you do it, yeah, I would think so, yeah.
or they'll keep pounding us, so we keep pounding you
Yeah.
guys.
So what are they gonna talk about?
Budget.
Budgeting? Yeah, because you handle
For
public
3.5
funds.
hours, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You guys will be budget experts by the time you've spent that.
All right.
So I guess.
Not only do we not get paid.
Let's
for
have
this,
Mr. Williams do it and just give us a synopsis.
Give us the synopsis.
They will not allow that, I guarantee. I guess my recommendation is we'll just leave it up to you guys. If you email me, if you want to set a date, tell me when you're coming, and I'll just provide the information to everybody.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Can you do it over the course of like 4 days?
I have a feeling they probably have a situation where if you start it and stop, you can start at that point again. Most trainings online allow you to do that. They may discourage that, but I don't know. You have until like June 25th, so you have lots of time. June 25th is the last one. And you can receive this training other places. Wyoming School Board's just made it convenient for you by an online system. My guess is they're going to be this training available at Wyoming School Boards, conferences, and other places. But we don't have that information. We have this information. So why don't we leave it at that? It's up to you individually to do that. If you want to get together, that's also fine.
So in our budget, do we have a way to go to Vegas and do this training?
You do, if you find
Just thinking, oh, well, anyway.
if you want to justify that to the electorate.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
That's all I have.
any recommendations from the board at all on this? You guys want to do it individually? You guys want to try to get together, eat some pizza?
It
And,
sounds like it'd be easier to do it individually.
Yeah.
well, trying to get everybody together for
Together,
3.5
yeah.
hours. I mean,
That's
that's
a long
a long commitment. If it was for an hour or something, then it might be
Yeah.
quite different, but where you're requiring 3.5 hours. Do you have 3.5 hours in your day, Joel? No. I didn't think so, so.
Maybe you can turn it on in your car and drive somewhere flying.
Flies or flying, or
can do that.
while you're eating your fish sandwich.
That was years ago. What was that? Big fish.
A big fish. So, all right. Well, thank you for the information.
You bet.
We have a little bit of time,
Yes, you do.
so we can still just,
Good.
if you could remind us periodically.
We will.
And then just keep it, in the forefront of us as we go forward, even if we have to discuss it next executive session or whatever, so.
And maybe you could put out, if one of the board members has already done this, they could give some input as to
Okay.
what happened.
Mr. Williams, right there, he says he's doing it Wednesday.
I'm doing it next Wednesday.
So we get an idea what,
Okay.
well, you could do it in chunks, like an hour or so and come back, find out that kind of.
Okay, sounds good.
I have a simple mind, I lose my focus after 15 minutes.
It's budget to boot,
Difficult.
not like politics.
I know, so, anyway. Okay, thank you for that.
You bet.
Budget update.
Members of the board, just quickly before I get into the budget update and hopefully not put everyone to sleep, I would like to recognize Senator Wendy Schuler in the audience.
I saw her back there.
It
I thought
is,
she was here for public comments.
it is awesome to have such a representative for our state and for public education, and she always treats us very well in terms of our community, so thank you, Senator Schuler, appreciate your time. You want to say anything? Come on down.
Come on down.
See, there you go.
You give a politician the podium.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I haven't learned that yet.
At least she doesn't hide
You know
it.
what, I'm just a teacher, a retired teacher, I'm not a politician, but, thanks for the kind words. I do apologize, I probably didn't stay in touch with your good superintendent as much as I would like to have this year, but with the budget session, it was hard and fast, but we did visit a little bit via email.
I felt sorry
It
for
was,
her, honestly.
it was a rough session, and some of you probably, I know Dan Wheeler was at our legislating roundup the other day. It was not a good session, it was very negative. And I feel really bad about education, because we didn't do right by education. The one bill that I felt really, the 166, HB 166, which is basically just a voucher bill. So you can call it whatever you want, you can dress it up, but the ESA is just a voucher bill. And it passed. I was hoping the governor would veto that one. He did amend it a little bit so that, and it might not end up in court, but I think it will.
Yeah.
$20 million went into that. And really all it is a way to prop up our private and parochial schools. $6,000 apiece that they'll get. Not a lot of accountability per student. Per student. And it takes money away from public education. I'll never vote for anything that takes money away from public education. And honestly, the number one thing is that it's against our Constitution. It basically says in the Constitution you cannot use public funds for private or parochial. So I hate the fact that some legislators love to use that Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, when they like to use it, and other times they don't like to use it. And so I really felt disappointed but like I said, whether it happens or not, I'm not sure, because I think a lot of lawyers will get rich, and it'll just drag on into the courts.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm really, if anything else, if I want to just say one thing, it would be to really get involved in the elections this year. We need education-friendly people. In the Senate, we can only get about 7 or 8 votes for education out of 31. In the House, thank God, they've saved our bacon a lot. But depending on how, half of the House will turn over, well, who knows how much of the House will turn over, but half of the senators are up for re-election. We have to make sure that we get out there and get education-friendly people. And I will say this, because I've been calling them out all year long. I'm one of those, I don't sugarcoat things, but the folks in the Freedom Caucus have caused a lot of the problems that we're having. They've really divided our Republicans, and they all voted against our budget. And some of you may know what happens if we don't get a budget. Schools, basically, if you can't collect revenue, schools and everything else, cities, counties, our state hospital, everything shuts down. And some of those folks that vote against that, which, like I said, is every Freedom Caucus member, I don't know what they're thinking. They're up in the night. And I think they get their feelings hurt because they don't get everything they want in a budget. But just like your budget hearings, you don't all get everything you want in your budget. I'm sure the superintendent's administration, there's other things they'd like in their budget. But, instead of getting our feelings hurt, we need to do what's best for our constituents. And I know you guys do. I try to always talk highly of our education. I'm hoping that a few of these guys in the Senate get beat. I might even go up and knock on a few doors and help some of them get out the door, because some of them just don't think that we're getting their bang for our buck for education. And I tell them all the time, check our scores, see how we're doing with our state and the amount of distance we have between schools and how our schools are doing. We're doing a great job, and you guys are doing a great job, and I appreciate everybody in this room that has been in one way or the other, administration or teachers, whatever, because you're all doing a great job, and you're always trying to progress. And I'm very proud of this district and everyone in it, and I'm going to get really emotional. I did vote against the gun-free zones bill. Some of you probably know that.
Yeah.
And again, I listened to constituents. The first time it came up a couple years ago, I voted for it. But since that time, you guys, we put hundreds of thousands of dollars into school security. And nobody can just walk into a school. I actually went over to the high school. When I got back, I had a couple things I had to do. I have to get buzzed in just like everybody else. And so I asked the bringer of the bill, do we really need this? Gun-free zones have been around for more than 20 years. 1990 is when they came in. So I kind of laugh when some of these guys say, you're taking away our Second Amendment rights. I voted for every gun bill that's come down the pike the last 6 years, except this one, because I had over 300 emails, a lot of them from teachers and staff, but a lot of them from just our everyday folks that said, we don't want it. We don't want it. And I did try to bring an amendment that said, well, okay, if we're going to have it in schools, because I could see it was going to pass. If we're going to have it in schools, how about we at least have our school superintendent get permission from them if you're going to conceal carry. Because my big worry, and I don't know, God forbid we ever have this happen, but I just in my mind I kept thinking, well, what if there was an active shooter? We got a school resource officer that comes in, he's maybe on one end of the building, maybe a teacher that's armed, who knows, on the other end, and you got Johnny come lately or a couple of them with guns, and they come into the school and they pull out their guns. Who's to know who's the shooter and who's to know who's not? that was my biggest concern with trying to bring that amendment. It got shot down, and again, I think the governor probably got the same amount of emails I did. Well, I'm sure he got many, many more. But I finally thought, you know what, I need to listen to the constituents. I had about 12 people that said vote for it. I had over 300 that said vote against it. And to me, that makes more sense, whether I believe it's going to help or hinder. And quite frankly, I'm not sure it will help or hinder. Because if you do any research on gun-free zones, a good share of the people that try to get in and help end up shooting themselves in the leg or in the foot, can't get their guns out, or they turn tail and run. I really always, will always honestly believe that our people that have been trained are the people we should rely on. But again, if it comes down the pike, I'll listen to you guys, because your constituents are who we should listen to. The gun rights groups, like I said, they can go fly a kite, because you guys are the ones that are important. So those were two really, like I said, contentious bills. But I just want to mention one thing. Had we not got the budget through, you guys, as it was, we had some of those same folks in the Freedom Caucus that tried to take everything away from the schools. Major maintenance money, money for school buildings, and so on and so forth. Education right now is under the microscope. It's kind of I think it's kind of, we're at war with some of these people. And you know the thing that makes me the maddest, I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute, some of these people that really were more against public education were people that I found out later homeschool their kids. So it kind of bothers me that they're taking it out on our public education people that do a great job, and they don't even, their kids don't even walk in a public school. So keep doing a good job. You guys are doing great work. Great board members. Glad I haven't had to be here very often, but I felt bad for my daughter because she was going to be here tonight, and I said I'll come and hang out and see what's going on. So anyway, thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So with that, Chairman Peterson, members of the board, just a quick review of where we are with the budget. The budget was passed and approved. It did provide an ECA, which is fantastic news. Editorial comment, I think if it wasn't for our lawsuit, you wouldn't have seen the ECA that we did.
Yeah.
So I think that's good news. The ECA is for professional labor, 3.871%. For non-professional labor, which is our support staff, is a 1.06% increase. Educational materials is a 21.852% increase, and for energy was a 14.64% increase. Again, total package for our state of that ECA cost $67.8 million. So a significant amount of money, not as much as the ECA we got last year. With that, what that provides us is roughly about $1.85 million of new money. And that is tremendous. It's definitely the money we can put to use. Just a couple caveats with that. The percentages are percentages of the model salaries, not our actual salaries or even our base salary. Just a quick reminder of what the board did last year. The board provided a $33,250 increase on our base. That's a 6.75% increase last year of salaries. On the highest salary of the certified teachers, that represents a 4.32% increase. So above the ECA that was given last year. Support staff received $1.25 an hour increase. That represents a 10.1% increase for starting level, entry level support staff. Highest level on the support staff represents a 7.34%. So again, as we enter this time, just a reminder of what the board did for our staff last year. Again, I think well done. As we enter this part of our budget, we also we're funded per student, and again, we just found out today, 25 students less from this time last year. We've averaged 25 students less every year for the last 12 years. It is devastating to our budget. You take 25 students times 17,000, which we get per student, and that's the money that we'll take away from that 1.85 million, just to start right off the board. I know you guys know how we budget. Basically, 85% of our budget goes to salaries and benefits of our staff. 15% then is fixed cost or operating budgets. This year, that'll be a little different because of ESSER funding. At least $275,000 to $300,000 has to be taken from those operational funds to pay for our summer programs that you saw up here. It's a program that we can't afford to lose, and we have to pay for it. ESSER provided those summer programs for 3 years. Remember, the ESSER funds required that 20% of those funds were spent on exceptional students, and that's why summer school was part of that 20%. So we had to spend it there. Now we have to backfill that federal funding. Also, we have budgets that were kind of put on freeze. We were able to take our technology budget and our curriculum budget and offset it with ESSER funds for 3 years for a significant savings for the district. Remember, of that 80% of those ESSER funds, the majority of it went right back to our teaching staff. We gave significant retention payments to our staff. But now that funding is gone, and we have to make sure we maintain our operational status. So that will kind of reduce the amount of it, that 85% that can go to salaries and benefits. I believe our commitment has always been put as much to our staff as that we possibly can, and that will continue to be our commitment. I can't tell you how much that will be because we still have not heard about our renewal for insurance. That's a pretty tough message and a pretty tough weight. We've seen as much as 3% up to 22% increases to those budgets. A 6% increase is what we've averaged over the last 5 years. 6% is roughly $300,000 to $500,000 to bolster that insurance. We only have these options. Either the district pays for all of it, the employees pay for all of it, we split the costs, we change our benefits. There are limited things we can do. Again, once we hear from our agent, I will produce a video to all staff, that's our committee, all staff now, and share that information with them. So we'll know ahead of time what that increase will look like and options to do. We'll get feedback from our staff and feedback from the EEA as we move forward with those health insurance. We can tell you again this year that the state froze the health insurance. There are no health insurance increases in the budget. So they've frozen that for a couple of years, which is disappointing. Negotiations need at least a nod to begin that process, which would be an invitation to the EEA to begin negotiations. Usually I just set a date. For me, this year, I think the 9th fits into the schedule. That's a Thursday, the 9th of May. If you recall what happens that time of the year, we have retirement dinner, we have the high school academic awards. There's a lot going on in those 2-week periods. If we can do it on the 9th, Thursday on 9th, 5:30, we'll have a light dinner and then start our meeting at 6 o'clock, if that'll work. Usually 4 volunteers do that. Is there anyone that would love to do that? Can't wait to do that.
I've done it the last couple of times. I'm okay doing it again, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay.
That's it.
Ryan,
3 also works. 3 also works.
I'm sure I can probably do it, Ryan.
Okay.
Yep.
That's 4. We will communicate with you and make sure I need to meet with EEE. Oh, that's good for you guys?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll move ahead with that on the 9th of May.
What time?
5:30 is the light dinner, and then
Me's at 6.
8 o'clock works better for me. Everybody okay with that?
No, I like
Okay.
this.
Okay.
Yeah, any suggestions for dinner?
You know, I was impressed, wasn't it, the culinary department, didn't they do that last year for us?
Whatever it is.
Okay.
We'll be good.
Well, good. We have flexibility then, Sherry. Sherry has flexibility.
Didn't they do chicken cordon bleus or something last year?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's kind of traditional. We've done potatoes and gravy and chicken cordon bleu.
That's great.
Okay.
I think we support the beef industry and go prime rib this year.
That's right.
I'm in favor of that.
We'll support the budget, but we'll support the beef. We're just-
I know a live local rancher that'll probably supply the beef.
Free of charge. Yeah.
Donate it, tax write-off.
Maybe we can get some of that Red Devil Ranch beef.
Yeah.
Other than that, probably what I'll do, typically, the 4 board members that do that go into dry. I'll try to provide you some information beforehand, and so you kind of know where we are in terms of figures and kind of what we can do, if that's okay. With all of the board like that, information?
Yeah.
Okay. And remember, it needs to be confidential until it's joint release with DEA. Okay?
Confidential until it's official.
Anything else? Any other questions that you may have about the budget?
No, I think we got the right guy in place, Mr. Williams. So,
One other thing I need to point out, probably 2. The first one is agree with you. John's amazing. The second one is, you saw up there that we, after 2.5 years of work, we are going to propose to the EEA a support staff salary schedule and the work that's done on that. It's truly amazing to watch the information that John can provide as we try to get our salary schedule and our employees' salaries in a competitive marketplace. That's really what we're looking at. We have excellent information. We've had excellent consultants. The consultants have been so impressed with the information that John's gathered and the way it's presented. Matter of fact, we made their job much easier because of the market analysis. Again, what John did is he took every school employee in this state, and we can look at their salaries compared to the hours they work, and we come up with an hourly rate. And then we can compare our employees' salaries based on experience, and it's just, it's been eye-opening. So this salary schedule we've produced is not just me or a committee of 5 putting numbers together with what we think works. It's actually based on job descriptions of the individual areas. We went from 22 columns to 7. The 7 represent categories of employment, and it's all based on this market analysis and where we need to get our employees to be competitive in the marketplace. Hopefully you realize, and everyone realizes, we cannot go from where we are to competitive in the marketplace in 1 year, especially with the funds that we have. But we can make sure we're making progress, and I believe this salary schedule is probably the first step along that path. I will share that with the whole board so you can see it, try to explain it. It is pretty impressive. Dan was a part of that committee. And the Patel for Kids coefficient, we rank every employee based on their job description, and that's how they're placed on the salary schedule. It's pretty impressive. Much more simplified than our current salary schedule, but at the same time, it's a lot of complex figures backing it. So anyway, we hope that EEA will also agree to that and we can negotiate it. One thing about that salary schedule, it will be for new employees hired after July 1st. It's impossible to take our current employees and place them on a new salary schedule without causing some issues. The issues would be one employee may get 50 cents an hour raise, another employee may get 75 cents an hour raise, because our current salary schedule is very inconsistent. The steps are 25 cents, but the lanes are between 40 and $1.50 between lanes, so there's no correlation on our 22-lane salary schedule, 14-lane salary schedule, sorry. So what we're recommending is that will be for new employees. Our current employees will stay on their salary schedule, and any increase will be to the base. We'll just kind of drop the steps. It may take 10, 15 years to get every new employee on that salary schedule, but we think that's the best path to take. So employees won't be after employees, and they won't be angry at the board that 2 individuals sitting next to each other, one gets a 50 cent an hour raise, one gets a 60 cent an hour raise. We have done that in the past. If anyone remembers, when we went to the current salary schedule in 2005, we had some pretty upset people. And even though there was a significant increase associated, anytime you give one employee a little more than the other, there's conflict. So that will be explained more in detail. I have met with the EEA leadership and I've done my best to explain that, but there'll be some more explaining when we get to negotiations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Fantastic. That will end our discussion items, so we'll move on to public comments. Mr. Schuler, would you like to come down to the public instead of, you're done? Okay.
Wasn't even ready.
All right, I'm just looking, I'm grasping for anybody, so. So no public comments, so we'll move on to our action items.
Members of the board, we do have some resignations. We recommend that you approve those resignations. Would you like to do these in?
I can do the resignations first, it don't matter, so I'll
Okay.
just identify it as A3, so. So, moving on, you got anything else on the personnel?
Yeah, we have, it looks like 6 contracts to offer, and then I think we need to do that part first because I
That's
want
right.
a separate approval of all of the
The certified staff,
contracts.
yes. So, that's why I was saying I can go with A3 first
Okay.
on it. So, if we're good with that, so I need a motion to approve action item A3, the resignations and also the new hires.
Correct.
It just comes up as resignations on our list here, so, but there's also new hires involved with that.
Yes.
So if I can get a motion to approve or go forward with personnel, item A3.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item A3 on personnel.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussions? No discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
The next one, Chairman Peterson, members of the board, by April 15th, we have to offer contracts to our certified staff. You do have a list of all the certified staff that will be offered contracts. Recommend that you approve those contracts of our certified staff.
So that's what we'll do. Because we have certified teachers and then certified and administrators on there.
Yes.
So it's just, so we'll go to action item personnel AI or A1. So I need a motion to approve the certified teachers' contracts.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the contract as presented.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussions?
Who is the second?
Dan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
We will go on to action item. Any comments, Mr. Thomas, before we go to the next one?
I'm certainly not an expert on the joint use agreement, but
No. That was certified teachers. I have to go to the A2, which is your administrator contracts. We have not
Yes.
approved that one yet.
so that's certified and administrative.
Certified and administrators. I did the certified teachers as A1, and then I'm going to go on
These
to
are the new
A2.
certified teachers, so.
Yeah, so this one here. So I need a motion to approve action item A2 for certified and administrator contracts.
Second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussions?
Just so you know, that does represent the high school principal. That's a contract offered to Mr. Fuller.
Yes.
Right.
So,
We saw that.
on the administrator side of it, so. No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We will go on to action item B.
Well, now that you know that I'm not an expert on the joint use agreement, I know Mr. Dennis has gone over this several times with the board. What this allows us to do is to replace that water line with help and support of the city and a third party. So I recommend that you approve this agreement as been discussed previously. Jeff, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I've talked with Mr. Dennis, I talked to Mark Harris today as well. The agreement's already been signed by the city, and I think we can agree to it in principle. There are several typos that need to be corrected, and then it needs to be re-signed. And in addition, I would like to add a paragraph that addresses governmental immunity for both the school district and the city. I'm sure they won't object to that, it's just a simple formality, but I've been burned on governmental immunity before, and I don't mess around with it anymore. We make sure it's in everything. Aside from that, we split the cost of building this new water line, and then we turn ownership over to the city, which is a real positive thing for the district, because we don't have to pay to maintain it, we don't have to worry about it, the city worries about it like they do with all of their water lines. I think Ellingford there across the way is going to tap into it, especially for fire suppression, because they can't get enough pressure otherwise to get the fire suppression. The one thing that's interesting is because of the Evanston City ordinance, we collect some of those payments from Ellingford for 10 years until it expires, once this project is done. But we'll work closely with the city. I think it's a win-win. We pay a good chunk of it, but then we lose ownership, which for us is a real positive.
Yeah, and so that, with the comment on that, it's over the course of 10 years, so it's not just Ellingford that's building that. Anybody that develops or ties into that line, that we recuperate some of our costs associated with it up to 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brent's the project manager on this, so I think we're in good hands.
So, okay.
And the money's coming out of major maintenance.
That is coming out of
That's
major
right.
maintenance, so.
Please try again.
Something went wrong. I guess we don't vote for this.
Story of my life.
So I guess my question to you then, if there's going to be some changes on there, do we just need to table this till next month? Or are we in a rush to get this thing going forward and the agreement needs to be in place? Because if you amend this, and then we have to go back and get a signature from the mayor anyway, do we need to see the verbiage of what you want to change that to
And my
governmental
paragraph
immunity?
is really, it's a boilerplate type addition. So we could approve it with that and with the correction of a few typos, but the typos don't change anything substantive.
No, not substantive, but what I'm saying is the governmental immunity to this line.
I think, Chairman Peterson, what we do is we approve it with the amendments.
Okay,
Yeah, I
without
think
even
so.
seeing the amendment, that's what I'm saying. Okay,
We have trust and confidence. I've seen those, that paragraph.
I
It's in
know.
all our contracts.
It really doesn't hurt anyone, it helps both of us, and I positively agree.
okay,
And what I would suggest is, if you have any questions when it gets to the final document, don't sign it, and we will bring it back.
okay, all right,
I think we're safe doing that.
okay, all right. So what I need is a motion to approve action item B, the joint use agreement with the city of Evanston for the 10-inch water line to go across our property with the
Stated amendments.
the added revisions to typos, can I say that?
Yeah.
Spelling, and also to the governmental immunity that's going to be added by Mr. Phillips.
So moved.
Second that.
I have a motion, I didn't even ask if there was any discussion. So I have a motion and I have a second. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. That was that line. Okay, we'll move on to action item C.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, I recommend that you approve the appeal of a student that was discussed in executive session.
All right, I need a motion to approve what was discussed earlier in the executive session from the appeal of the student.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, moving on to action item D, approved bids for staff travel vehicles.
Come on down, Mr. Fackel. Chairman Peterson, members of the board, you know that we've had several discussions about staff vehicles and the need to increase our fleet, and there is funds in the budget, and I'll let Mr. Fackel explain.
Yeah, so you're aware, I brought it to you before, our staff vehicles need to be updated. There is money in our transportation budget for one vehicle to start with for now. We put out for bids, reached out to a couple of local dealers, reached out to Northeast BOCES, got a whole bunch of different vehicles kind of within the guidelines that we put, and the one that we've selected is a Jeep Grand Cherokee for $44,569. It's here local from Yeti, so I think that's the best option for us to go with. We can pick it up as soon as we pay them for it.
So I do have a question on this here. With that vehicle, obviously, the Explorer has a third seat, the Durango would have a third seat, the Edge
Yes,
would not
these-
have a third seat. The
These are
Cherokee
all
does.
third seats, yes.
Yeah, the Edge wouldn't have a third seat, right? But the Grand Cherokee you're looking at does have a third
I
seat,
think
right?
the bid I did get for the Edge did have a third seat.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So they
I
all have
kind
a
of-
third seat, okay.
When we went through the bids, the Edge was the first one that we cut out because it's just not big enough. Use 6 full-size adults is.
Okay.
And luggage.
And
Yeah,
luggage,
luggage.
so, okay.
The Jeep's really nice. It doesn't have a full bench in the middle. It's actually got 2 separate chairs, so it's a little bit roomier for our staff. They actually let me, I went over and talked to them about it. They let me go test drive it, make sure everything was appropriate, and I really liked it, and I think that's the one we should go with.
It's not green, like Green River Green?
No, it's white.
Okay, thank you. It's not purple like Mountain View. Okay, fine, all right. Just
You're going there, there's plenty of colors.
Okay, all right. I know, but it's white. White's a good color, so, okay, no, fantastic.
Neutral.
A neutral.
Never E put on it?
Yeah, well, I think so.
Let's start printing.
Rapid. Okay, fantastic.
Any other
Appreciate
questions
it.
for me?
No, we've done all the work.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I need a motion to approve the purchase of the Jeep Grand Cherokee from Yeti.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second.
Dan is the motion.
Dan was the motion.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Go pick up your vehicle. All righty, that concludes our action items. We can now move on to board roundtable.
Mr. Chairman Peterson, members of the board, you okay if I know I've talked a lot, but I got 2 things for you. First of all, I'd just like to recognize the drama, Evanston Providence Devils. I went to Footloose. I enjoyed it very much. It's just amazing how many kids we get involved in those projects, and well done. Pretty impressive that we can pull that off. It's not money, but very talented group. Just wanted to thank them for that. The second part is I've been asked about our water project that is a continuing, it's been on the table for a couple of years. A couple of years ago, we potentially saw this as an opportunity to increase our soccer fields in the district. If you remember, this is a grant from the federal government for the green space at Transportation Department. Originally, 2 years ago, we proposed 2 grass fields and 2 turf fields, artificial turf fields. We haven't heard anything until about a month ago, and then we heard that this is still in the works. We're not interested in turf fields any longer because even though this is a grant, 50% of that cost may be our responsibility. In the discussion of this grant, I encouraged the city to go ahead and propose 2 grass soccer fields on that property where the retention pond currently is. So that's what the grass fields would be. The reason for that is we're not sure if we'll get the grant, not sure if we can pay for it, we're not sure when the grant will come through. So when that 50% of that project would have to be, we're not sure when that'll happen. The board would still have to approve the allocation of those funds. I have mentioned to the rec board about the possibility of these 2 fields in a flat space with plenty of safe parking. I think the only way we would probably move forward with this is if the city would pay half of our half. Aspen's just a horrible place to put vehicles and try to run kids soccer. So for the city, I think these are needed. For us, it would provide us additional practice fields, and if the weather is good, we could actually have multiple games. These would be regulation-sized soccer fields. So how many years in the future, I don't know this will be. Now, there is a possibility, since we kind of put that 2 years ago, Red Devil Ranch, through grants, has purchased a center pivot. They want to increase their alfalfa hay output for our Red Devil cows. This would infringe on that. So what we'd have to do is find some other way to either lease additional land for hay or purchase hay for Red Devil Ranch. what we're missing on that space. There is 40 acres out there. It is flat land. We already have a place to put parking, so the cost will be, I think, reduced.
Is the parking on the Red Devil Ranch too?
No, it's on the, what do you call it? The
Airport landing strip.
Yeah, the runway.
The runway,
That's true, that's a good point for it.
Yeah.
I guess my
It's pretty much what-
my question would be, why can't we redo the practice field? Because we own that space next to it. We can't put any structures there, so you could have parking there. So why couldn't we put that money into redoing that practice field and making it?
Because 100% of those funds would be contingent on us.
The practice field.
The
So
grant,
this is simply because there's a federal grant.
Yes, they're going to do it no matter what we're doing. They're going to do the water project anyways.
And so if we choose not to fund it, we don't have to, but I didn't want to take it off the table. I think it's a great opportunity for our community. If our community wants to participate with us, especially knowing that we can't fund 100% of the 50%, because we've just put significant amount of money into our fields. But again, 2 years down the road, we're not sure how our funding will look. And if we do need, we definitely need additional soccer space in our community.
Well, and my concern is that we are taking land away that will help the Red Devil Ranch continue, because as they're growing their herd and the need for more hay, if we're taking that away.
I don't think we should take from one program to benefit another program either. I think we really have to look carefully at
And that
that.
has been my opinion from the beginning.
And we'll have that opportunity if this is approved.
Yeah.
If the grant comes through, we'll have to have this discussion again.
Right.
I just didn't want to say no.
No.
Say, moving forward with that green space.
Okay, here's the deal, and I just mentioned it to Ryan. One way or the other, every time you change, it puts it a year or so down the road. You can't, you gotta set what you want now, which is because it's part of the grant that they're trying to get. And every time you change it, it puts it a year or two further down the road.
When the individual that's doing the grant, I can't remember his name, met with me a month ago.
Brian Dieters.
I told him exactly that. We'd be interested in 2 grass fields. But if we can't afford it, we wouldn't move forward with it. We will meet with the rec center and see if the city's interested in helping. I have met with the rec center. They're aware of it. Again, my recommendation is, there's nothing really to recommend. If the grant goes forward, the funding would have to be approved by you before we went forward. By then, we may have a better solution at Red Devil Ranch. Already, we know that there's going to be a center pivot on that land, but without this grant, we're not going to have water. So it's a double-edged sword. Can it benefit both Red Devil Ranch and the city and our soccer program? Yeah, I think it can, but we're going to have to think out of the box. I didn't want to curtail that. So that's why I said move forward with 2 fields. Haven't changed that position. Others don't agree with me, but others aren't in the position to make that recommendation.
So can this grant go through just with the water portion and no soccer fields?
If we're not going to fund it, they won't give us half of the money. So yeah, the retention pond will have to be redone. That's part of the water project. That's why this funding is available. We have a retention pond that they can't use for alfalfa already out there. We're taking that retention pond plus additional ground. So the center pivot couldn't get hay out of the retention pond anyway. There has to be a retention pond at the end of that ditch.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it's on our property, but is it, I don't think we can touch that retention.
it depends on what it's for. Is it for storm sewer overflow? Is that what
I
the
think so.
retention pond is?
Yeah.
For the subdivision and the hospital down through there?
Yeah. No, I
And so-
think it's above. It's the area above.
Well, it is a retention pond for that subdivision, right? For
Yeah.
storm,
I think so.
yeah, storm retention. So it's not for irrigation purposes.
No.
So that would have to be redone for that purpose of flooding.
When we originally looked at this 2 years ago, we Jared had Brent Sanders do some drawings. So we've actually had professional drawings done, engineering on how it would work. That's when we were looking at 4 fields. and a complex kind of like overthrust with a scoreboard in the middle that would support them. We don't need that anymore because we have the field at EHS. We put our money into that.
Right.
We couldn't wait for this project to move forward. So is this project contingent on us having 50% of those funds? I don't believe so. I talked specifically with them and said, I can't guarantee you 50% of the funding for that field. We don't even know what it'll be in 2 years. So we can still move forward with anticipation that it's an option for us. If the board at that time says nay, or if we can't find another alternative for Red Devil Ranch, I'm hoping the center pivot creates so much hay we don't need it.
Yeah.
There's enough space. But anyway,
Okay.
that was my thoughts. There really is no action to take
Right.
until
then. You don't know.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we haven't heard for a while, and I've heard some chirping again when I was getting some services provided to me. That sounded bad, right?
Yeah, it did.
No, I was a haircut. I was getting a haircut.
You gotta explain what your service is.
Now I can't even go down that.
That's on the record.
So, I was getting a haircut. But the concern is, where are we at with the domes, with the FF&E? Where are our floors? Where is that sitting? We were told that possibly February, March, that our kids were going to be in there. Now we're into April. Where is this at? Where is our flooring at? When is it going to be in? And how are we coming along with some of the F&E stuff that we're supposed to be having?
all is good. What I can tell you is we had no way to get the flooring down to the domes because of the roads and the weather. As soon as the snow started to melt, they can't get it down there. They can't deliver the flooring. Half of the flooring is here, waiting to be moved down to the domes when they can do it and not have the mud bowl. The other half is here in storage, waiting to be delivered to Salt Lake, from Salt Lake. They have been using the domes. If you've been up there, they have been throwing the shot. Soccer's been up there. Of course, it's just the cement floor. But we are moving forward. Jaron would know the anticipated date. I don't know how long, once they start putting the flooring, it'll take. The one I can't imagine very long, it's the turf. There's no lines on it, it's just turf. The other floor, I think, will be kind of complicated with all with the track and the basketball court. FF&E, we're still just kind of encouraging our teams and their booster clubs to help us fund that. We are looking at other places to purchase equipment that will help us with the FF&E there. It is accounted for in the budget, so anything that we bring forward to you will already be there in detail. The flooring has to be here before June 30th because it's part of current year's budget. So I can guarantee you that date. It will be here and installed before the 30th of June.
Okay,
I was at the East Dome today, and there's product inside the dome.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I'm not right sure what it is, because it was still sealed up and wrapped, but there's a lot of product that I think they went up that little hill there where the the electrical, where all the electrical and everything and the fence, it looks like that's where they had gone. So, but there is product in there. Whatever it is, I don't know yet. Yeah.
So is that the one closest to the school?
Yeah, the east one.
So that would be the basketball court?
Yeah, that'd be the flooring in the track, yeah.
Okay, all right. No, just looking for.
Still a lot of
depends on
excitement.
anything.
I think you just have to, we pushed February, if all things work to our benefit, they didn't.
Yeah.
So. Sure.
I don't think we thought about the road.
Yeah, I had no idea that they had trouble moving that stuff.
Yeah, what that would be, yep.
Then one more thing, Mr. Fackrell. How's the buses going? We have 1 week off because of spring break, but their routes are doing okay, finding our way around things. The only thing that I noticed was that we were starting to get a big queue, some stacking that was going up County Road and up Bear River Drive. So I did call and we changed the timing on those lights. So things coming underneath the underpass will stay green a little bit longer to allow the travel to flow a little bit better, so.
Yeah, what we had done is we took a couple buses, made sure they cleared the underpass. We had some of the drivers before spring break do test runs during the day with students so we could see what was necessary. We didn't see any time changes. We did send letters out to parents of students that would be affected, letting them know that nothing is changing now, but due to unforeseen traffic or weather could affect.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be going all right. We have had some, not complaints, but some feedback from the drivers about the stacking of traffic going that way. But
And then just check next couple of days, because we just changed it this morning, so just let me know, call me.
Okay.
And then if I need to change it a little more, then we'll make that green a little bit longer, so.
Okay.
Just so we can flow things through there a little better.
Great plan.
Is that the
Sometimes words come out of my mouth that they're not supposed to, but every once in a while.
It's impressive.
More so than.
So. Anything else on the roundtable? Any more discussions? Nothing?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
So I guess we're going to adjourn. I have a motion, and I have a second. Any discussions? No. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, that came out of my mouth just all wrong. I said that for a second, go, that doesn't sound quite right. And you did. I thought, no one's saying anything, and then you